Hi, I'm Sunny Menon. Let's talk a little bit about Tai Chi walking. When I first got into Tai Chi, one of the first things I did was Tai Chi walking. My first Tai Chi teacher wanted to really let me experience the practice of Tai Chi, not just cram a bunch of movements. He wanted me to feel it. And so I did a lot of standing, a lot of Tai Chi walking, a lot of different walking methods. But you got to remember, we're just using our body. It's just the body, right? So the methods are tools to train our body. Our body isn't a tool to train the method, okay? So we want to attach these things to get the benefit and the study out of them, not about saying this is the right way, this is the only way, okay? So let's get as much upgrade as we can. So when I work with my students on walking drills, it's first from intention. And the classical principle says walk as if on a frozen lake surrounded by enemies, okay? So maybe we don't want to think like enemies all the time, but it's keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head up. Don't always look at your feet. Look for the information from the ground up. If we're looking this idea of a frozen lake, that means when I put my foot down, there should be no weight there. It's empty, it's gentle. I put it down and I can feel if there are any cracks about to happen under the ice. My weight fills up from the bottom up. Why? Because if I place a weight on the ground, or on an ice, right? That's one effect. If I drop it, that's another effect, right? So walk as if you're on a frozen lake surrounded by enemies. In the beginning, I don't even care what's happening with the transfer of weight, what's happening with how they're separating their legs, any of this kind of stuff. Because why? We want to connect to the intention and the somatic experience we're having, okay? So walk as if you're on a frozen lake. Place the foot down empty. Now, you can try heel, see what that feels like. You can go flat. This is a very Bagua thing to do. Foot flat. Here's another really fun one you can do. Put the toe down first, like so. Then place the foot down. Then shift the weight. Toe, foot, shift. Toe, foot. It's very methodical, right? But it's Tai Chi, right? We're doing Tai Chi. So we want to take the time to feel what we're doing. And when we do that from the foot here, we're working our ankle, we're working our toes, we're working all these things from the ground up, and you're getting a really good sense of empty full, because you can't do this if you drop your foot onto it. It makes it a whole different experience, okay? You're probably gonna fall through the ice. So let's go through that one again, this really simple drill. So we shift, create that connection to the ball of the foot, flat of the foot, shift the weight. Bring the foot forward, ball of the foot, flat of the foot, shift the weight. Ball of the foot, flat of the foot, shift the weight. Now, this is probably very different than you normally walk. When you normally walk, you're probably hitting with the heel first, and it's probably with your weight going with it, more akin to running, right? When you run, you propel yourself forward, right? But we're walking, so when we're walking, we want to maximize time on the ground, maximize when we're on one foot. So here, we're maximizing time on the ground, maximizing when we're on one foot. I put my toe down, the ball of the foot, so I feel it, and I'm still maximizing time on the ground with this back foot. Then I place the foot down, and I shift, and I lift, and I'm maximizing time here. Really taking my time so I can feel this, the action of the leg going forward and back, and then slowly shift the weight, okay? Now, there's a whole bunch of mechanics and a bunch of intentions we can put in here, but you can get a lot of mileage just by working within this metaphor. Ball of the foot, flat of the foot, shift the weight, okay? Now, what's a common mistake? Mistake's a harsh word. What's a common thing that people do when they're practicing in the beginning? Well, like I said, we tend to propel ourselves forward. This is common sense, right? We're always in a rush. We're always moving too fast. Maybe we know how to run. We like running, so it feels a little bit like running. But we propel ourselves forward and we end up striking with the ground. But also what ends up happening is our stride length is too big. We're making this big overstride that means that our hips have to sort of open up weirdly to make our movement happen. And so what we want to do is not worry about the mechanics, not worrying about any of that kind of stuff, because it's just a very natural way the body moves. Instead, allow the body to teach itself proper stride length. And that's exactly what you're already doing. So when I reach out and I have an empty full relationship and I hit and I feel with the ball on my foot, this is my stride length for my walk or my gait length. Anything out here, you see what I have to do? I have to reach and I have to compromise my structure. Here I can maintain an upright structure, this Tai Chi line, find this position empty full, and there, I've just defined my stepping length for this type of stepping practice when I want to really clear empty full. And I shift, collect together, reach out, find that spot, root, and there's my stride length. Collect, foot, down, there's my stride length. And why is it important? Why not just put the foot out here? Right? Well, when that happens, we are losing the potential for the hip and the waist to work together to transfer energy. Okay? So this is really important. We want this to happen down at the foot. So we want the foot to feel when it's in front and rooting us into this position, when it has to ground deeper so we can empty fully and reach out, when it has to drive forward into this hip and collect. All of this stuff slowly over time is going to make a more organic process, a more natural process, because that's what we want. Because there's all kinds of different Tai Chi walking, right? We have ocean stepping, that's what I call it, and some of my teachers call it, or rollback stepping, right? We have this more chin style where we dig it out. And when we get into these deeper positions, you need to understand how these joints are working relative to one another. And really, you build it up here, okay? You build it up here. Because finding that, we can call it nutation of the pelvis, where you're able to orient these very easily, float, empty, create that empty full connection right across midline. And so we want to find that up here within our Tai Chi walking, so that when we look to deeper techniques, the transfer is going to happen through the waist, right? These sort of movements where we might want to get deeper, or up here, the same. It's all coming up from the ground. So remember, your Tai Chi classics, power comes up from the ground, amplified in the waist, expressed from the back through the arms. So Tai Chi walking, it's one of the, I think everyone should take up the Tai Chi walking practice. All martial artists, it's a beautiful practice to take up that allows you to really get into the experience of Tai Chi right away, because that's what it's about. Tai Chi is not about having to learn a whole form or be immersed in this big, huge system. And if you don't know every little tiny bit, sorry, no Tai Chi for you, right? No, Tai Chi is the awareness field that you are cultivating within your practice, right? How you interact with your movement, how you cultivate your movement over time, and how that mixes with you. So that's a little bit of Tai Chi stepping practice. And we'll do another one where we work on ocean stepping, and then we'll work a little bit on Bagua stepping, how these things relate to one another. Because remember, they're all tools. And the more tools you have in the toolbox, well, more things you gotta work with. So once again, I'm Sunny Manon, and I'll see you next time.